This is the Youthful and Useful podcast by Leap Africa.
You can imagine the kind of funding that will go into that, and the only way I could generate that kind of revenue was through crowdfunding. Okay. So put your idea out there, let people know what you are doing, let people plug into it, and people around the globe were able to contribute to that, and I was able to carry out that project. Before you can sell your idea to somebody else, for someone to key into, the first question is, do you believe in your own
Absolutely.
idea? Yeah, so you need to actually bootstrap into your own ideas.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where you're joining us from. My name is Orolu Akinsanya. I welcome you warmly to this episode of the Youthful and Useful podcast. The Youthful and Useful podcast is a production powered by Leap Africa. And in case you are joining us for the first time, Leap Africa is a youth development organization given to driving impact across 5 focus areas: education, entrepreneurship, employability, active citizenship, mental health, and well-being. We trust that by this podcast, you'll be equipped, enabled, and resourced with the accurate knowledge you need to venture into your social entrepreneurship journey. And I'm not here by myself. I'm joined here with a seasoned finance professional, one of Leap Africa's finest, one who has grown through the ranks. And I'm just reading her bio real quickly. The person here with me in the studio today is a finance professional, one who is passionate about youth and youth development. Her flair for youth pulled her towards the development sector, discovering transferable skills in capacity development. Through her work, she builds professional capacity for other CSOs within Africa in her core specialty areas of financial analysis, business management, and business process solutions. She possesses over 7 years of experience in corporate NGO finance and accounting. She's a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, and holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from Babcock University. She also has a non-profit leadership and management certification from Lagos Business School and a mini MBA certification in business analysis and management. To align her professional career with a lifelong passion for youth and community development, before working in Leap Africa, she worked as the Internal Audit Compliance Associate and Finance Officer at the Association for Reproductive and Family Health. She interned with the Management Consulting Unit at KPMG, Nigeria. This person is a member of several community development organizations, Enactors and Paysetters Leadership Club, and has done volunteering work for other NGOs. Who I'm introducing is none other than Simisoluwa Abraham.
Wow. Is that me? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Simi, for joining us. How did you feel with, all those achievements, all those steps, milestones? How did you feel?
It's been a journey, if I think back at when I started, I think from uni days where I had a passion for doing finance, even when I was going to enter into uni, my dad was so confused because I was good in finance and I was good in acts. So I got the 2 forms. I got the finance accounting form and I also got the law form. So I was still confused.
Wow.
I got the admission into the 2 courses.
Wow.
So I was so confused into which one I want to do. But I had to just hold on to myself and say, okay, do I want this more, or is it what my daddy wants that I would go for? So I chose what I wanted to because I was more interested in the accounting side of things. So that's what brought me to accounting.
Interesting.
Yeah, but on and on. So I also had a flair for, like you read already, youth development, working in the NGO sector and all. So I joined Enactors. I don't even know Enactors. So there was an Enactors backup chapter. So in Enactors, we had community development projects. We raise funds. Then we try and do those community initiatives and try and solve a social problem and try to improve the life and standard of living of those in our immediate community. So that helped me now create a flair for working in the not-for-profit sector. So because I had that passion of working with not-for-profits and I also had my finance background, I was trying to think what is the best way to merge
It was a sweet spot
the 2. Yeah, so I wanted to have that balance. So I created that balance by choosing to work in not-for-profit industry, but still focusing, bless you, on my finance bits. So that's how I found myself in this place, being a finance development professional.
Amazing. That's interesting. So, as you have hinted, if you were not doing finance, what would you have been doing?
Oof. If I wasn't doing finance, I like economics as well. But if I was going to go away from the finance side, I think I would do more of creative arts into dancing.
Wow.
I'm telling
That's my
you.
grind. Come on now.
I'm
Creative
telling
arts
you. Yes,
dancing.
yes.
Amazing. Amazing. Maybe you should drop some moves for us.
Not today, please.
Okay, so thank you so much, viewers, for joining us. And today, basically, we are delving into the topic of accessing the needed funds. So, as we know, fundraising is particularly interesting and important to NGOs, especially startups, because one person has an idea and the person doesn't have particularly the wherewithal to fund that idea to
Yeah,
scale it as much as they would want in
true.
their heart. And so the meat of our conversation is fundraising your startup. And I just want to start by asking if you could provide an overview of how the fundraising environment for startups, how it has evolved over the past few years.
All right. If I think about it, we're talking about how it has evolved over the years. When you talk about fundraising, you can't remove fundraising and startups. They are a peer. Every startup needs funds to thrive, even if it's a social enterprise or it's a regular business startup. You
Absolutely.
need funds to thrive. And if I think back about how fundraising evolved over the years, I would say first of all, it started traditionally. If you have a community project, all you need to do is to get people within your local community come together, raise funds for that, and solve your social problem just within your local committee. So on and on, I think it grew to the extent where we're now talking about NGOs, not for profit organization. That now gives it a more structured approach to doing community development projects where you now have impact as your bottom line at the end of the day. So now that we now have not for profit, they now use grants to raise funds from local and international donors. They also have another source of funding through CSRs. You can decide to partner with like businesses and say, okay, you want to run their CSR initiative for them. So that's another method. It has grown over the years. Before we now go into where technology came into place and we have crowdfunding, easily now you can have an initiative and an idea, put
Okay,
it online,
contribute. Yeah.
people plug into it all over the globe and begin to raise fund from that lens. So from crowdfunding, we have things like GoFundMe that people have now. You can put an initiative there. If people can believe your initiative, people believe your idea and plug into it. Within weeks, you raise the amount of money that you need to raise. You have global giving as well.
Yeah.
Global giving is another
Yeah.
platform that does that. You have your there are several other platforms that does that. But I think in today's world, we have more of impact investing. We have moved into impact investing
Impact
now.
investing.
So beyond just having a not-for-profit organization, more investors are looking to getting impact. So because of normal investors, normally you just get profit at the end of the day. But with impact investment, you now have profit as your bottom line. You also
And
now have impact as your bottom line. So you have like a double line bottom line with impact investing. So impact investors are not just necessarily concentrating on just okay
ROIs.
ROIs and all. They want to see what impact are you making? What's that sustainable impact that you have brought into the establishment that you say you want to achieve? And are you actually generating that return, which is the impact? Yeah, I think that's where we are currently.
That's amazing. I want you to maybe dig a little deeper into impact investing because to me it provides some sort of accountability.
Yeah.
I'm not just giving you money, my funds, so you can do whatever with, but I want to see how that translates. So for someone who is looking to start, how would you taking a back step now? How would you advise the person to position themselves for impact investing?
Okay. So most times that's speaking to social entrepreneurs because
Yes.
for those that want impact investing in social entrepreneurs. So before as you're just starting, it's hard for you to actually get investors coming from impact investing side. I think the first step is for you to do a kind of bootstrapping. We want
Okay.
to see how you as an individual has actually invested into your own initiative before you can sell your idea to somebody else for someone to key into. The first question is you
Do you
yourself,
believe
do
in
you
the
believe in
idea?
your own idea?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you need to actually bootstrap into your own ideas. Also, before you think about impact investing, you need to think about, okay, what method can I use to generate other kind of funding? Should I use grants to generate funding so that I can even use that to create a form of track record within my firm? Because before you get impact investors to come on board, you need to show track record ideally actively before you can now get those type of impact investors. I think the beautiful thing about impact investing is that they don't only just give you funding, like we mentioned earlier. They are really involved into the nitty gritty of how your firm operates, right? They also want to see, they're providing you industry expertise. They want to see, okay, how well are you going to thrive? Is this going to be a sustainable business? Is it going to grow on and on? So they are there actively. They are providing monitoring, coaching, and all those type of support. So that's the beauty of
Wow,
impact investing.
amazing. Thank you so much. I think one of the things I've also come to learn is that the funding is, it can be as specific or it can be general,
Yeah,
where you talk about restricted income and unrestricted
yeah,
income, and just channeling the funds to exactly what the funders or the investors are looking to bolster in this system. So I wanted to ask if the challenges that startups the common challenges that startups experience in receiving funding or in positioning themselves for funding, and how they can possibly overcome those
those
challenges.
challenges. Okay. If I think about the barriers like startup typically face, there are several barriers that they face, but we'll try and streamline it. But first of all, you have to think about the stakeholder interest. So, where is the mindset of the kind of stakeholders you want to get involved on board? Are you actually keen into their own strategic plan? For example, you want the government of an organization to, sorry, the government of a country to plug into your own initiative. You want to get government funding. Are you thinking about what's the focus of the country at that particular time when you want them to come on board? Are you thinking about if you want specific donors to come on board on your company? What's the strategic focus of those donors at that time? So how can you key into those
Mission
existing
alignment.
strategy that
Yeah.
exists? So it's easier for you to just generate revenue. I think another challenge that or barrier they might face is the type of risk associated with the industry they want to come into. They have to kind of do like a market analysis. Okay, this industry I'm coming into. What is the mitigating strategies I need to put in place when we talk about the high risk environment? Is it an environment where there's high political instability? Is it an environment where there's economic instability as well? So how am I positioning myself to be able to mitigate all those instability that exist? I think those are one of the barriers they face as well. I think track record is another barrier that they face because as a startup, you literally don't have any track record and you want to prove to an investor that yes you can come and invest in me. So with track record, I think how you can surpass that barrier is with partnerships, right? Partner with different organization. Even if you don't have financial resources to use to partner, you have time is a big resource that you have, so use the opportunity to partner with other people. I think one more barrier I would mention is if I think about conflicts in terms of what's it called now? When you have industry conflict with another similar industry, with another firm within the industry, competition is the word. So when you have competition in the industry, it exists. There are so many investors, sorry, so many firms, but with little investors, right? You
Right.
don't want a situation whereby because there are very little investors that exist or very little grants that exist, and you are putting yourself in a position where you cannot access that. So, how well are you designing your idea? How well are you designing
So
your pitches?
innovation.
Yeah, what's your innovation about? How well are you convincing those investors to actually come into your own firm?
Wow, interesting. So, in other words, you're saying that we have to be, or because we are speaking to the entrepreneurs who are starting or who are intending to start, and the challenge is you have to be more innovative about how you are putting out those proposals and partnership requests, and you have to also look out for mission alignment,
Yeah,
what you are
definitely.
doing, and how the funder or impact investor can plug in to find that sweet spot. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I wanted you to also explain the roles of banks, of angel investors, and also venture capital firms in
In
investing
in
in
startups.
startups.
Okay, okay. If I think about it, they are like three different firms. So they play three major different roles.
Okay.
So, for example, banks focus more on debt financing. So
Okay.
if I try and break debt financing down, so there are different methods of financing. There's equity financing and there's debt financing. So for debt financing, the investor is majorly interested in their return on capital. Whether you make a profit or you make a loss, you still have to pay their return on capital. So
Right.
they are more of the interest receiving end.
Right.
And that's what a bank would typically do for you. But beyond just that, beyond just providing capital, I think bank also do financial advisory services.
Okay.
They help you check your books, they help you see, okay, have you done proper financial planning and all of that. So banks are typically short-term type of investor because you have to give them their return on a periodic basis. And when I think about venture capitalists or venture capital firms now, they are more of long term, right? Beyond
Right.
them just giving you money, they also want a stake in your firm because they are the other side of financing. They are the equity
Equity driven. Yeah.
financing type. Or they want to own a part,
Own. Mm-hmm.
yeah, of your own business. So you have to give them a percentage in your own firm composition. They can be there with you in the long run because as equity finance, you don't get returns when there's no profits. So as long as I'm making loss, I don't have to pay you a return on investment until I break even and I start making profits.
Then I
Is
have
when I can
to.
give you
Right.
a return on investment. And we know venture capitals, they typically invest in several startups until they get the ones that actually begin to make profit. The third one,
Angel investors.
angel investors. So we also have angel investors. I think this is the beautiful one that more social enterprises should key into
Okay.
angel investment because these are the ones that they don't only just give you capital. I guess that's where they get the name from, angel investors. They don't only just give you capital, they also give you hands-on approach to managing your business. So, because they are industry experts. They've been in the industry for
Quite a
so
bit.
long time, right? And they'll give you that hands-on approach. They'll give you coaching and mentoring. Yeah, they'll give you connection within the industry, what you need to thrive. They are trying to see how you can grow your firm to make it a more sustainable organization, and on and on like that. So that's what the role of investors do.
Interesting. So what are the potential emerging opportunities for fundraising for startups, like grants, like crowdsourcing and or crowdfunding and so on. And if you have any success stories, could be personal or it could be one you've heard, just to encourage someone who is just thinking, I have this great idea, but I really, really do need the funds. This person may even have have put his back into it, have put his money where his mouth is and
Yeah,
generated a minimum viable product.
yeah.
But I'm at this point where I really need somebody to help me with funds. What opportunities can the person leverage?
Okay, I think the beauty about startups is that at the early stage you have to, like we said already, bootstrap. You have to seek out grants. I think grants is a very beautiful opportunity that people
Grants.
like that can seek out. The beauty about grants is that you're not pressured to tease out profits. You're more pressure to tease out impacts.
Impact, yeah.
Yeah. So you know that you're starting out a social enterprise and you've even maybe created a product, for example. So it's easier for you to thrive. So you already have an idea and you even have a product to showcase that idea. So you can use that to even get and attract grants. All you now need to do is probably now learn how to do those grants writing, maybe go for courses that have to do with grants writing. I know Leap Africa also does that through the
Yes.
NYFF program. Yes, so maybe learn more how to position yourself to be able to attract those type of grants and run with it, get the impact. And most times grants focus on a specific purpose. So make sure that whatever type of grant you're trying to apply for, you're tailoring your grant request towards that approach, and make sure you're not just tailoring just because you want the grant. It should actually meet that
Resulting. Yes.
specific result.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then we also have, you mentioned what were the questions you
Yeah,
mentioned?
bootstrapping, crowdfunding, grants.
Okay,
Mostly.
yeah,
We already talked about
crowdfunding
bootstrapping.
as well. Yeah, crowdfunding is also a very beautiful method for generating revenue and generating funds. So for crowdfunding, you typically would get the public online to plug into your idea. You do like a campaign, you generate so much money from that. I have a personal example from that
Oh, amazing.
whereby I've done a community development project. It's an
Okay.
initiative whereby I needed fund to be able to carry out that initiative. So that initiative was about renovating a dilapidated home, It was a
Okay.
home for children living with polio. So you can imagine that kind of home. They never stand up from bed. They are in bed 24/7. So that place was really in a stench, and it was important for someone to just give it that facelift. So I needed resources to do that. I mean, I'm renovating a whole building. So
That's running into millions.
you can imagine the kind of funding that will go into that. And the only way I could generate that kind of revenue was through crowdfunding.
Got it.
So put your idea out there, let people know what you're doing, let people plug into it. And people around the globe were able to contribute to that. And I was able to carry out that project through
Wow.
crowdfunding.
Amazing. How long ago did you execute this?
This was almost 5 years ago now.
Wow.
Almost 5 years
And you
ago.
used Twitter?
Not Twitter, not yeah, Twitter, Instagram,
Oh, you use
everything.
across.
Yeah, across
Wow.
social media.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Amazing. So I wanted you to also then provide some tips on how entrepreneurs can expand their network. Where are the places where they meet or could meet funders or potential funders?
Okay.
Where are the networking hotspots? Where should they be looking to? Where should they be? Where should they put? How should they position themselves
Yeah.
to meet these people?
To meet the existing funders. There's something called Dragon's Den. I don't know if you know Dragon's Den. We have the Nigerian one now. It's called Lion's Den. I think that's a very big example of how you can meet potential investors. You need to just go to platforms like that to pitch your idea so that you can see people that will key into it and fund those ideas. We also have networking events that happens. So within your industry or whatever industry you have your startup idea in, key into those industry events. Those are opportunities whereby you can go and pitch your ideas. You might give platform to anybody within the room to come up and pitch the business
Is that
idea.
similar to Shark Tank?
Yeah, it's that Dragons Den I was saying earlier
Is
was
Shark
is
Tank?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
similar to Shark Tank. It's the one for the UK, but Nigeria is Lions
Right,
Den and all
right,
that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So that's an opportunity for you to just go there and pitch in your idea. And you get a lot of funding for from those type of things. If you do networking events, you see similar startups within the industry that you
Pitching
can
for partnership too.
you speak to and partnership generally, yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. So, how should a startup's fundraising strategy evolve as the business grows? And what factors should a startup consider when choosing a funding strategy?
Okay. Yeah, very important question actually, because it's not all funding types that
Suits
that suits all
businesses.
businesses and all at all stages. Yeah. You should focus more on the crowdfunding type of investment. You should focus more on bootstrapping, and you should focus more on grants, because this are kind of investment that don't necessarily put so much pressure on you to generate a return, which is the profit in this instance. But now your pressure is more on the impact you're trying to generate. So it helps you focus more on the impact side of it. It helps you focus more on the major reason why you even established that initiative as a social enterprise. So if you are going into the intermediate level, the mid level of your business, so you can now start thinking about other type of investment like the impact investment side, the angel investor side of things. So that time you now have like expertise to come into your business to help run and monitor how you run in your organization. It even helps to build the efficiency and effectiveness of the firm, because you now have those hands-on approach from the angel investors. Then when you now grow further into like proper matured organization, anything above 10 years old, you should now start thinking about diversifying other types of financing. That's when you now bring in debt financing into your business.
Right,
Yeah, you should now have a
right.
blend of equity financing and debt financing, but also knowing the right balance, because you can't just do a 50-50 when it comes to debt and equity financing. There needs to be a balance, but you now have to get more financial advice and expertise on which type of balance you need at what particular point in time.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. So it's not a one size
It's not a
cap
one
fits
size
all.
fits all at all.
Right. So, I mean, viewers, this is something to be aware of. So, we are also flexible and evolving as our business grows.
Yeah.
All right. So, this question is actually an interesting one, and it speaks to sustainability. How can startups with a sustainable focus effectively communicate their impact to investors?
How can you effectively communicate your impact to investors? I think first of all, you have to know your investors. That's a KYC. You can do like a wide KYC on your investors. Know what they want, know what they're after. You can't just go and communicate to an audience without even understanding the audience you're communicating to.
Right.
So you have to understand where is their interest, where does their interest lie, what's the strategic focus of those type of investors. You also have to understand what kind of other type of similar firms have they
Worked
invested
with.
in
Okay.
time past. How another way you can actually build a good communication to them is to also do proper internal analysis of your own self. What are those risk factors associated with your own firm? Um, which other what's it called now, risk factors that is associated, maybe external risk factors. Have you actually understood your own immediate
Industry
industry
environment. Yeah.
environment? Have you understood the economic factors affecting your own industry, on and on like that? So these are some of the things you actually have to put in mind. Have you done a proper market survey to be able to pitch the idea to the right audience?
So are there some data metrics or reports that are just standard for businesses or social entrepreneurs or social enterprises to present to their impact investors?
Yes.
What would maybe top three, top two important ones? What would they be?
If I think about top two, I think you have to present reports in two different metric angles. You have to think about the impact metrics and the financial metrics. And
Okay.
if you think about the impact metrics, what are your investors interested in? They want to see your qualitative and the quantitative side of your impact. How well are you measuring it? What's your target audience? How many targets have you reached in with your initiative? What solutions have you created? With your qualitative side, we're trying to think, okay, how have you contributed to the socio-economic environment that you find yourself in? Have you actually created jobs for people through your initiative? Just an example. There are several other things that you could have done that they are looking at. If you're thinking about the financial metrics, which is another side of your report that you can present to them, they want to see your growth rates. How have you been sustainable over the period of time? Has your revenue been growing over time? Do you create cost saving strategies for your organization? Have you been profitable over time? So those are some of the metrics that they'll be measuring. Is this actually a profitable venture to invest in or not? Yeah.
Interesting. Speaking of cost saving strategies, I wanted you to also speak to some financial management practices. I find that when you're starting a business as a social entrepreneur, the way you run your personal finance is typically by default how you will run a corporate finance. So, what are the financial management practices
Okay.
that you recommend if social entrepreneurs who are in the startup stage are not doing that? This is a must do.
You must.
This is a there's this analogy that someone often shares. It says you start up something and you make a mistake. If you are trying to erect a building right now, and from here there is a maybe 0.01 deviation. By the time we begin to lay the blocks and begins to go down
Then it get
further, the
worse.
deviation again. So right now that you are in 0 to 5 or 0 to 2 startup phase,
Okay.
it's a good time to make those corrections. So
Okay. So it's a very good question. I really like that question. When we're talking about financial management. So first of all, what's even financial management? It's just basically you controlling and planning for the resources available to you, the financial resources available within your disposal. So how well are you going to create a system whereby you actually manage those resources well? I think another method is for you to actually do proper financial planning. And when I say do proper financial planning, you should start doing budgeting within your firm. Set up budgets on a periodic basis so that you don't just mismanage funds and just be
spend as you go.
spend as you go without actually tracking. So with budget, it helps you streamline and know, okay, these are the plans I had in place and these are the things I wanted to put under my initiative. These are the transactions I wanted to fund under my initiative. I think another thing is what you invest in as a startup. When you begin to receive grants, I think where you invest in, you should invest in professional advice, professional financial advice. You can't know it all, so you should get a professional person to actually handle some bit of your finances. And even if you don't have those kind of resources here, but a bit of advice here and there would help. Another thing you can invest in is actually in technology. There's no finance world right now that operates without technology because we're evolving over time, right? So you need to invest in technology. Technology will actually help you do like proper documentation to your financial transaction, help you measure over time, and even begin to make decisions from there. If I think about another financial management strategy, is the importance of knowing cash flow. Cash flow is king. Cash is king. You cannot run your business without cash, right? Having to know the balance of when to have cash, when not to have cash, when to have liquidity, when not to have all of that. So that's so important for, especially for startups. And I think lastly is just to understand the risk environment where your firm is operating in.
Wow, this is a whole masterclass right here. Separate your business. Separate your personal finance from
Your
your
business
business finance. They are not the
finance.
same thing. Encourage financial planning. Invest in professional advice because you cannot know it all. Be aware of the risks that you're susceptible to. Cash flow is king, as you said, and then invest in technology. That's how to make the most of your finance. And that's just that. I feel like this by itself is a conference material that needs to be unpacked
You know,
further. So I wanted to also ask if it was out of place for a startup to also consider impact investing.
by themselves.
Yeah. Or maybe leveraging professional advice. So, for example, they get access to funding. It's possible that you receive funding that the fund it's beyond what you actually need right now. And typical of when money comes in is as though when money comes in, the first instinct is spend. So it takes a lot of
Yeah.
training to think save first or think invest before you think spend. So, what are the opportunities for them to make the most of that fund, knowing fully well that inflation is there, things are changing. Sometimes the worth of 100,000 naira in
Last year,
January is
time
not
value of money.
exact time value of money is a factor. So is
Yeah.
it out of place for them to also invest in impact?
I don't think it's out of play. What they are doing with the social enterprise is really impact investing because they're actually investing in social solutions, right? It's really impact investing, right? So it's not necessarily
Out
out
of
of place
place.
for them to want to do social or impact investing.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. So why is it crucial for them for entrepreneurs to plan their exit strategy from the outset? And what factors should they consider in planning
Okay,
this
when
out?
I think about exit strategy, the only word that comes to mind there is sustainability, right? Before you enter into your social enterprise, you also want to think about your exit strategy. How sustainable is my firm going to be? So, beyond just creating initiatives and all of that, am I able to pass on my idea to someone else to actually run with that idea? Can this dream live beyond me? So those are things you're thinking about when it comes to the sustainability of your firm. So you want to get to a point whereby you've been able to fully hands off as someone that is running the day-to-day operations of your own firm, be able to pass on that knowledge and idea and still be able to generate the impact. The vision is still alive, the mission is still running, and yeah, it still generates profit from that lens. And in the long run, you can even take the initiative and idea to create another social enterprise, generate fund, and begin
Right,
to generate
right,
profits
right.
across board. Yeah.
Right, amazing. What are some practical tips for maintaining a healthy cash flow? This was something you hammered on before, and for someone who also does not really understand cash flow, I just have an idea. I'm just passionate about this thing. Finance is not my thing, but is also interested in at least understanding it, so that when that is delegated, the person knows what
What to
goes
do.
where. What exactly is cash flow? What are the indices, and then what are the practical tips for managing cash
Cash
flow?
flow. Okay, good, very good question. It's a very good finance question. Cash flow is so important. Like we said earlier, cash is king. You can't operate without cash within your firm. I think first off, before you're even thinking about how to understand cash flow, when investors come into your firm, they are looking at not just your financial position now. If I'm delving down into finances, they are not just looking at your bottom line. They want to see your cash flow. It even helps investors make sound decisions to say, okay, this can be a profitable organization, but they don't have cash, or vice versa. They might have a lot of cash, but they are not a profitable organization. So it provides so much more insight. So from that lens, you should carry on the mindset that cash flow is so important within your firm. But if I'm going to provide practical steps on how to manage cash flow, I think the first step is to do like proper cash flow analysis. Do like a periodic cash flow analysis, try to know what money is coming from investing activities, try to know what money is coming from financing and operating activities, and know the difference between the three set of cash flows. I think another thing to do is to do proper cash flow planning. So it helps your liquidity planning. You want to know how much I need per time on a periodic basis. You don't just want cash to be in hand. You want to be able to know how much liquidity I need in this period of time, how much should be in investments. Another thing you want to check is your financial ratios. In financials, there are ratios that helps you analyze how good your firm is operating or not. So
Okay.
there are cash ratios as well that you can check. So there's something called the asset test ratio. There's also
Okay.
something called the current ratio. So those ratios help you understand whether cash is good or not good in your firm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it helps you know if you're able to meet your obligation within a short period of time. Your obligation now is your liabilities, your short and current liabilities. Are you able to meet those obligations with the current assets that you have? That's your own finances internally. Are you able to meet those obligations? So those financial ratios help you measure those things. I think lastly, if I'm going to give advice on cash flow, would be the ability to get your customers to pay in time. That also helps. You can make or mar your business as well. Create initiatives whereby your customers can bring cash in periodically at a point in time. Give an incentive. If they give you cash within so period, you give them a certain
Rate
amount
of
of
return.
discount and all of those things. So it helps you generate your cash flow.
Interesting. There was something you said about having cash but not being a profitable business and profitable but not having cash. Can
Yes.
you just expound on that?
Okay, so that's more of delving into financial analysis. So when you are doing financial analysis as a firm or as an investor, you want to check, okay, what's the financial position of this organization? What's the profitability of this organization? So you're checking the bottom line over the years
Is that
as
positive or negative?
so profitability is positive. For you to be
Okay.
profitable, you're already positive.
Okay.
So yeah, your bottom line has to be positive
Okay.
already. Yeah, so you're checking those things. You're also checking your financial position. Financial position also gives you a broader view of the organization. So it's telling you over time, these are the assets I've been able to accumulate. These are the liabilities I accumulate. It's checking can all my assets cover all the liabilities that exist
Right.
within my firm.
Right.
Then the cash flow part. So those three statements work hand in hand. You
Right.
can't, yeah, they all function together because
Okay.
this leads into
Okay.
this to this, right? So for your cash flow, you're also checking that I might have cash, but I might not be profitable. So for your cash flow right now, you can have cash, but there's no profit in your business because maybe you have tied down so many into investments and all of that. But in the financing side, maybe you have gotten a lot of debt financing. So yeah, cash came in through debt financing, but you have paid a lot of money through interest.
Right.
So you can have cash but
Right.
not be profitable or vice versa.
Wow. Wow. Finance. Viewers, if you want to learn more, please subscribe to her masterclass. Thank you so much. So for someone who is on the other side and is just is looking to outsource this um, management of their finance arm or practice, would you encourage that or what would you tell that person?
Okay, yeah. I think outsourcing is key when it comes to financial management. Like we said earlier, you cannot know it all. Some people actually have the skill, so they are able to manage the business and also manage the finance. But in the long run, as your firm begins to expand, you need to now separate the two. You can't manage everything because now there's so many things you're managing simultaneously. So you need to key into investing into financial advice. But yes, outsourcing is very good. Yes, outsource the financial advisory. They can be on the outside side of your firm, or you can get somebody internally to actually also run your. It works simultaneously side by side. Whatever works for you, you can just check your the cost of this versus the cost of this and see if you're at that level yet. But in the long run, you want someone internal.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So this has really been an amazing and enlightening session and technical session as well. It's definitely one episode that you want to watch over and over just to soak in all of the insights that have been poured out. But I wanted to ask, what would you advise for that entrepreneur who is watching and saying, "Wow, this is a lot. This is a lot to handle." What are your final words, really?
Okay, I would say kudos to you first of all for even starting that initiative, for even
Mm,
starting that social initiative. It's very rare for you to see people that will give themselves double work beyond just trying to generate profit, also trying to generate impact. So it's a very good initiative that you have started. I think another thing is that no pressure, no fear to generate
no
revenue.
pressure, no fear.
No pressure to actually generate revenue, no pressure to generate profits. Yes, in the first few years of your venture, you might even be generating a loss, and that's a typical way to know this is a startup. You might
Mm,
generate loss for the first few years before you
mm.
can even break even, before you can even start to generate profit. So, like I said, no pressure, no fear. Just keep doing what you do. Improve on all lens until you start generating profits.
Thank you so much, Simi, for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And it's on accessing finance and accessing funding for your startup. If you feel like this video is going to be helpful for your partner, your co-partner, a friend, a colleague, please do well to share this video and also hit the notification bell so you can get more videos and more prompts that would enable you, that would resource you, that would provide information for you that you can leverage to be the best social entrepreneur you can be. My name is Oroluwa Akinsanya, and this is still the Youthful and Useful podcast. See you on the next episode. Bye for now.